Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine, and this time it's another book review. And the band in question for the subject matter of this book is The Doors, and this is Night Divides the Day. This is an absolutely stunning book. It's available in several different versions. The one I've got here is, I suppose you class as the basic version, but it's so not basic. Anyway, let's dive in and I want to show you what's inside the book. So here it is. This is a look at The Doors, Night Divides the Day by The Doors, from Genesis Publications. I mean, this is a very thick 350-page-ish book, and it's available in multiple formats. This is the basic version. You can also get a signed version as well, and also a super deluxe version, which is signed with vinyl edition as well. But this is a look of the actual book itself. I'm going to say this multiple times, but this is the best book about the Doors I have ever seen in my life, and I've got multiple books on the Doors. They're one of my favourite bands, and this is just stunning. I'm going to just quickly flick through elements of it, just so you get a feel for it. So if you're on the fence about this, hopefully this will make you come down on the side that says this would be really excellent in your collection. Because if you are into the Doors, the way this is put together, going through background, lots of intimate photographs you'll have never seen before, with the whole involvement of the surviving Doors and lots of historical quotes and interviews from the band themselves, and it's been put together like a real story. It's absolutely fantastic. There isn't anything in here that I could say was surplus to requirements. The whole story is here. What it will make you want to do is play the Doors. I love these kind of books which aren't just text driven, but there's enough text in them to tell a story, to get you behind the scenes. But the way the photographs, the press stuff, the behind the scenes stories, the things from the family's own archives, the stuff here you see about Jim, the press cuttings, the letters, the contracts, the tape boxes, the photo sheets, the outtakes from the photo sessions, and it goes through every single album by the Doors. And I always feel that I've seen everything that there is by the Doors, but this proved to me, just by even looking at the equipment being used, who took the photographs, the stories behind the scenes, what was going on. It's the guitars, the keyboards, the musicians, what they were listening to. I mean, photos like this when they're sitting, making of the first album, and the stories behind the covers and what Jim thought of them as we move into Strange Days. But so much of this stuff I hadn't seen before, and I'm just flicking through it so you get a feel for this. But it's just absolutely a stunning book. I've always loved the outtakes from Strange Days. And they're all here, the story behind how the pictures were taken, sheet music, letters, all these kind of behind-the-scenes photos, effect pedals. I love this picture as well of Jim. I've never seen that before. All this kind of stuff, guitars, lyrics, handwritten lyrics, work in progress. Again, these pictures are just stunning. Absolutely love it. When I first got this, I was going through it page by page and then dipping in and out of it. And you'll see as I move through this that what I like about it is it goes beyond the Doors, whereas a lot of books will just go up to where Jim Morrison sadly passes away and that's it, we're done. But we don't here. We go further. We go into the minds of the musicians who were left behind, what they were thinking, what they did next, stories about those albums. But all of this, the build up to how the band were doing, and some of these pictures are from the American Prayer, aren't they, which comes later on. Photos, posters, quotes, It's just absolutely fantastic. Yes, and I am giving this a 10 out of 10 review for a book. I've reviewed a lot of books on Now Spinning Magazine, on the channel, on the website, but this one sits above all the others. I guess the Def Leppard one was similar in some ways in the way that it was put together, but this, because of the historical nature of the Doors and the mystical aspect of them, this goes into a lot more detail, pictures of Jim's microphones, posters, holiday snaps, as we move forwards into the twilight of their career, really. Just fantastic stuff, amplifiers, tape boxes, intimate drum kits, of course, more microphones. And then there's towards the end in Paris, and then what happens next, how the band felt, what they had to do, pictures of the tombstone and Patti Smith there, and all these pictures and what the albums they were going to do next. But as you can see here, and lots of handwritten lyrics, how they put the poetry together, even the film work and how the Doors came back to life later on in the late 70s. No One Gets Out Here Alive. I remember buying that, and the myths that kind of conjured up. And then we got, so I think I've just gone past that. We've also got talk about the other albums, other voices, etc., and how that was, because I found that really interesting. And you've got then a kind of every single that was released, all the information on the discs, etc., all the other releases, all the archive stuff, all the TV appearances they ever did, and even the tour history of every single gig, and all the contributors, etc., and a full index at the back as well. It's absolutely a stunning book, and without doubt, definitive, and the last word in a book on the Doors. So that's Night Divides the Day, the best book on the Doors I've ever seen. It's available in multiple versions. This one is about £60, but I feel for what you get, what it looks like, and the encompassing nature of this book, it's worth every penny of that. If you want to go further, there are also other versions which are autographed, which I think I've got some information on here. So there is a strictly limited edition of 1,650 copies, which are hand-signed by John Dennismore and Robbie Krieger. So if you're an absolute Doors uber fan, then you may be interested in that. In the description and on the website, there will be a link to the website where you can go and find out more about that. I'm not going to quote prices here in case anything changes. And then there's also a super deluxe edition, which also comes with a vinyl record as well, which looks fantastic. But to me, this is perfect. This No One Gets Out of Here Alive was the first book on the Doors I ever bought, and this book is responsible for some stories that weren't true that have since gone on to literally be part of the mythology of the Doors. But what I felt about this book, and I've only shown you a glimpse of what it's like, and I kind of mentioned it, didn't I, that I liked the bit that it went into detail about after the Doors. Not because I guess I know quite a lot about the story of the Doors and the albums, so I was really interested in knowing what it was like after, Jim had passed, and how the other members thought, what should we do? And the support that the record company gave them, and those 2 albums that they did following that, and how they tried the gigs they did, and how it was feeling, and then the music getting into the, the films and Vietnam films, etc. At the end, I found that really fascinating. This book, I made some notes, features stuff that you won't have seen before. So there's previously unseen cover outtakes from Waiting for the Sun, The Soft Parade, etc., and the Doors performing the Whiskey a Go-Go. There's tons of stuff. And some of it, those of you who are absolutely super Doors fans may think, I've seen some of those before. I hadn't seen a lot of them, and the quality of the paper stock, the quality of the photography, the way it's being thought out, the storytelling, and I love the way that they've managed to bring in contemporary snippets of conversation and interviews with the surviving members of the Doors, but also bring Jim in and other people from the time who may not be with us anymore, and help the whole story flow along. And I love these kind of books that are just full of visual stimuli as well. And that's what I think makes this book superb. The only reference point, it's not the, is probably the Def Leppard book, probably. I'm trying to think what else I've reviewed that's been similar, but that was not like the level of detail in this. And I guess because it's the Doors. Could it put anything in it extra? I don't think so. I mean, every gig, every best of, every compilation is listed. I guess could they have put a focus on the impact on some of the compilations, perhaps in the story? I don't think that's necessary. I mean, I'm thinking of Weird Scenes Inside the Goldmine only because that was my doorway into the Doors. But what I really liked was the feeling of how Jim felt about being on the cover of the first album and he didn't like it, and how they rearranged the artwork for Strange Days, with only having literally like a torn poster on the street scene in that album. I just love all of that. I just love the absolute. I guess what you want from a book like this is a real celebration of the train spotterish aspect of a fan like myself who wants to know what was around the corner of that picture, what was the next thing that was said after that was done. And this book does that whilst also giving you the visuals of the microphones, the guitar amps, the intimate pictures of them relaxing, girlfriends in between, or holiday snaps on the beach before the whole thing came together. And I think that's what I really liked about this. And the Doors is timeless music. And what this made me want to do after flicking through it, and in fact, just off camera, is my super deluxe edition of the first album, and also Waiting for the Sun, which I've been playing as well. And all I hope out of the Doors stuff now is that whoever decided that Strange Days hasn't had a super deluxe edition, it's time to do it. It's the 60th anniversary, which is why this book is here. So give us that. But in the meantime, something where you don't have to have the music on, you can just sit gently up the corner with your glass of wine or whatever, or your cup of tea, and sit through and flick through this book. I mean, look, it's the kind of thing you can just dip into for inspiration on this band. But yeah, that is going to be one of my favourite parts of my book library of the Pop Now Spinning magazine. The Doors, Night Divides the Day. So the details are in the description where you can get a hold of a copy. But thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Remember, music is the healer and the doctor. Please subscribe, ring that little bell, check out the podcast, check out the website at nowspinning.co.uk. And remember, if you become a patron or a YouTube member, you'll get access to our private communities on Facebook and on WhatsApp. Plus, you'll get invites to our twice monthly meetups, virtual meetups at the Now Spinning Arms, which is our own little pub where we meet and talk about music. So take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you all very, very soon.